The house that terrified everyone there are haunted houses that frighten people with strange noises, flickering lights, or shadows in the night. But what if a haunting was so powerful, so violent, that it terrified even the police, social workers, doctors, and priests who tried to help? This isn't a legend passed down through centuries. This isn't an exaggerated ghost story from folklore. This happened in 2011, in Gary, Indiana, in a quiet neighborhood, in a modest rental home that became known as the Demon House. Witnesses claimed that children were attacked by unseen forces. A boy was seen walking backwards up a hospital wall by nurses and doctors. Police officers refused to go back inside, and a Catholic priest performed exorcisms after declaring the house infested with demons. This is the true story of the Amons family, and the house that became one of America's most terrifying modern-day possessions. The Amons family moves in November of 2011. Latoya Amons, a single mother of 3, moved into a rental home with her children and her mother, Rosa Campbell. The house was located on Carolina Street in Gary, Indiana. It was nothing unusual, a simple one-story home with a small yard. On the surface, it seemed like the perfect fresh start for the family. But the very first sign that something was wrong appeared almost immediately. Despite freezing cold weather, the family noticed swarms of black flies covering their porch. They tried to swat them away, fumigated the area, even cleaned repeatedly, but no matter what they did, the flies kept returning, always buzzing around the same window, as though something inside was attracting them. At first, it was just unsettling, but soon, it would become terrifying. The escalation, shadows and attacks as the weeks went by. The activity inside the house grew worse. The family began to hear footsteps pacing through empty rooms, even when everyone was gathered together. Shadows slid across walls where no light source could explain them. Doors opened and slammed on their own, rattling the frames. But then, the phenomena became violent. The children began complaining of being pushed and shoved by unseen hands. They would wake up with deep scratches and bruises on their bodies. One night, Rosa Campbell, the grandmother, was horrified when she entered a bedroom and saw one of the boys levitating above his bed, unconscious. She screamed for help, and family members rushed in, pulling the boy down. When he woke up minutes later, he had no memory of what had happened. The Amons family knew then that they weren't dealing with just a haunting. They were dealing with something far darker. The possession of the children. The most disturbing part of the case was what began happening to Latoya's 3 children. Their behavior changed dramatically. The once playful and cheerful children became withdrawn, angry, and violent. They began speaking in deep, unnatural voices that did not sound like their own. On several occasions, their eyes rolled completely back until only the whites were visible. They hissed and growled, making animal-like sounds that terrified their mother and grandmother. Even more chilling, they began speaking of things they could not possibly know, dark visions, threats of death, and conversations with entities only they could see. At one point, a child was heard telling another that he was going to die, describing in detail how it would happen. The climax of this possession came during a hospital visit. While being examined by medical staff, one of the boys suddenly leaned against the wall, and then, in full view of nurses, doctors, and a state case manager, he walked backwards up the wall, flipped over, and landed on his feet. The professionals screamed. Some ran from the room. Others stood frozen, unable to comprehend what they had just witnessed. This was no longer just a family story. It was now an officially documented case, recorded in state files. Authorities get involved as the situation worsened. Multiple authorities became involved. Police officers were called to the house after reports of disturbances. Some of them heard disembodied voices, felt oppressive chills, and saw objects move. Several refused to return, saying the house gave them an overwhelming feeling of dread. Social workers visited the home to evaluate the safety of the children, but after experiencing strange phenomena firsthand, including sudden feelings of being watched, objects shifting, and unexplained noises, one caseworker fled the property in terror. Doctors and psychologists evaluated the children, but none could explain the bizarre events or the sudden physical strength they sometimes displayed during fits. Unlike most hauntings where skeptics can dismiss the events as exaggeration, the Demon House case had witnesses from law enforcement, social services, and the medical field. That is what made it so uniquely terrifying. The priest and the exorcisms with no explanation and the situation worsening. the family turned to the church. They contacted Father Michael Magina, a Catholic priest from St. Stephen Martyr Parish. After speaking with the family and witnessing their fear, Father Magina became convinced they were facing a case of true demonic possession. He performed blessings on the home, sprinkling holy water and saying prayers. But the activity did not stop. Finally, with the bishop's approval, he conducted a series of exorcisms. Father Magina later reported that during the rituals, he felt a heavy, oppressive presence filling the room. The children writhed and screamed as if something inside them was resisting. Latoya herself collapsed during one session, as though something was trying to hold on to her. Despite his efforts, the activity continued. The family realized the only solution left was to leave the home behind. Zach Bagans and the demolition. The case made headlines across the country. Paranormal investigators, reporters, and skeptics all debated the strange events at Carolina Street. In 2014, paranormal investigator Zach Bagans purchased the house for $35,000. He intended to study the phenomena and document it in a film. Bagans and his crew claimed to experience strange activity during their investigation, including sudden illnesses, equipment failures, and overwhelming feelings of dread. But what shocked the public was Bagans' final decision. In 2016, he had the house completely demolished, saying the evil inside was too dangerous to be left standing. Today, only an empty lot remains where the demon house once stood. Theories and explanations. As with all paranormal cases, theories vary. Some believe the house was built on cursed land, perhaps a site connected to rituals or tragedy. Others argue that it was a genuine case of demonic infestation, targeting a vulnerable family. Skeptics suggest psychological stress, poverty, and suggestion played a role, creating mass hysteria. A few even claim it was a hoax, though the number of official witnesses makes this difficult to believe. And then there are those who argue that this case defies explanation, that the truth lies in forces we cannot yet understand. The unanswered mystery. What makes the demon house so chilling is not just the Amons family's story. It's the fact that trained professionals, police officers, social workers, doctors, and priests all claimed to witness things they could not explain. This wasn't folklore passed down for centuries. It was an exaggeration from frightened villagers. This was a modern American haunting, documented in official records, witnessed by multiple authorities, and powerful enough to terrify everyone who stepped inside. Even today, years after the house was demolished, people still ask, was the evil destroyed with the house, or was it simply released into the world? The final question. The demon house of Gary, Indiana, remains one of the most terrifying paranormal cases in modern history. A family tormented, children possessed, authorities shaken to their core, and a house so feared that it was ultimately destroyed. But the haunting question is this: if you stood on that empty lot today, would you feel safe? Or would you wonder if the evil is still there, waiting, hidden beneath the soil, waiting for its next victim? If you enjoyed this story and want more haunting mysteries, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and share it with someone who dares to watch in the dark. Your support keeps these mysteries alive.